article in the players' locker rooms before the game. Is there?
Who said that?
Can't say.
What do you mean? I listened
Anyone
to
of-
I listened to the
use
same
ours.
podcast you
Yeah, okay.
listen to. So it's probably not easy. It's hard to decipher. He also said that Birch had good hair, which is sort of hard to believe. But
Dang, this coach isn't full.
no, there was an article that NBC Sports did a week ago, which was basically about we were winning games, but weren't necessarily beating teams of note. So I figured it was a good article for the guys just to see.
How often do we end up in the players' locker rooms?
Not that often. I think that's the first time this year. It's like funny because talking to coaches sometimes they'll say, "Oh, you did this and that worked," and I go, "No, you follow your instincts." My instinct after reading that article, was sent to me by Mr. Henderson, and after reading the article, I said, this is probably a good one. Throw in there if the guys want to read it, they can read it. But it was just the instinct felt the right thing to do. So.
In a league that's so geared towards parity with the ups and downs the team's inevitably going to have, how important for coaches and players is kind of not overreacting to the swings?
It's a league that's very, very close. I mean, from top to bottom, I mean, you look at last weekend, you look at Chivas being able to go 1-1 with Portland at home. You look at Columbus, going into Montreal and winning, at Montreal. There's not a heck of a lot of difference sometimes between the top teams and the bottom teams, and you got to be on your game. The moment you relax a little bit, the moment you take some time to pat yourself on the back, then somebody's flying past you. So it's really important to stay motivated, stay focused all the time.
And the same kind of on the downswings to not react to that.
To not overreact. But that also, when you get older, you get better about that. When you're young and impetuous, you react and you get more emotional and you get into things, a little bit sooner. But, when you're older, you figure out a way how to deal with it.
Does it help in any kind of way that, now that y'all are, after the big game against RSL, you're playing a team that, just doesn't lend itself to a trap game? I assume the Galaxy gets their attention all the time.
Yeah, Galaxy gets their attention. We still have tough games left. We've got good games left. Galaxy's, a couple of times. We've got New York still to go. We've got Timbers still to go. We've got Vancouver, Dallas, Colorado. There's still good games that we've got left on our schedule. And, we have to be ready to play every game. And the better we play, the more we can stay in the rhythm, the better it is for us.
Clint obviously hasn't scored his first goal yet. Is that something that you talk to him about, not pressing and letting it come, or do you feel like you got like that you just trust to?
I think it's something we don't need to worry about. I think his goals will come. If he saves all his goals for the playoffs, I'm okay with that too. Because I think he'll get his goals. It's important. He wants to do well. And anybody who's used to scoring goals, the pressure builds a little bit. But sometimes you just got to let the steam off a little bit, just relax, and somehow when you least expect it, all of a sudden it happens for you.
Pretty much it. Go ahead.
Is Marcus okay? We kind of didn't see him in that scrimmage.
Yeah, he banged his leg a little bit yesterday, so they decided just to keep him out today. We're off tomorrow, and then we'll see where he's at Thursday.
How's Brad looking?
Better. He wanted to do more. He wanted to stay in, and we pulled him out. So he did the warm-up. He played the possession game today with us, and he wanted to do more, but we still wanted to keep him out. We don't want to rush it. We want to make sure when he gets back in, he's 100% healthy.
So is the hope to have him full into training on like Thursday?
We'll see. We'll see.
You also had Leo and Oba kind of jogging around. Are they doing okay?
Yeah. It's just they got banged up a little bit in the last game. So Leo's getting a little older, so we got to give him a little bit of time sometimes. But Oba got banged up pretty good on a couple of tackles, so just give him those two guys one more easier day, but they should be full in on Thursday.
How much have you been able to see between Oba, Clint, and Eddie on the field, and do you like what you've been seeing with them during training?
Well, there's only that little bit that they were on the field together, against the RSL game, and there were times where there were some good combinations between the three of them. I mean, when you look at some of the chances we had at the end of the game, you look at Oba's breakaway off Lamar's ball, you look at Clint's opportunity off the corner kick. There were a couple of good chances, Eddie breaking in on the right. There were a couple of good chances right on the verge of being good chances as well. And at practice, we really haven't seen him that much. So.
All of those
Schmitz are
teams,
making noise.
Are we in danger?
All those teams that you named that remain on your schedule are all sort of playing for something. In this league, when it gets around to this time of year, can you sometimes tell the teams that are playing for something and the teams that are looking forward already?
Yeah, you can tell a little bit, but you're always playing for something. Even the team that's looking ahead and saying, okay, we're not going to make the playoffs this year. Those players are playing for a lot. They're playing for their livelihood. They're playing for a spot on the roster. They're playing to make sure that they stay on the team and stay in that city. So there's a lot. I'm very fortunate. I haven't often had to coach teams that were in that position, but my 2 years in Columbus, before we won the championship, the second year we were still playing for the playoffs, so we were battling all the way. But that first year, guys knew that they had to battle and play hard, or else they were going to not be asked to come back. So those teams sometimes are a little more dangerous because the guys are really, really motivated. So it's never easy because everybody's always playing for something, either their livelihood or a position in the playoffs.
And also this time of year, does anything else change? And particularly, I guess, are you easing off of their legs or anything like that a little bit in terms of training?
No, we try and stay pretty constant with that. We try and maintain what guys are doing with their workloads. That's why we got all this scientific data now, so you can rely on your eyes, but you also have all this mathematical data that you can look at as well that gives you an idea as to where guys are at. And so that's why, pulling a guy out of training here and there yesterday and today is something that we try and do to manage people.
How would you assess the way the team is defending over the last 5 games?
I think we're defending much better because everybody's committed to it. I think we're committed to defending as a group, and that's important. I also think we've done a really good job in the back of blocking shots, getting in the way of balls at key moments, of covering for each other when somebody gets beaten, and I think that's very important. And we've taken that talk after the Houston game to heart, and I think since the Houston game, I don't know, what have we allowed, 1 goal or 2? Yeah, 1 goal. So.
How do you come to a decision on how to start this group with so many decisions to make on the field?
I don't know. I was going to talk to you later and consult with you and see what you thought, either you or Matt Johnson, and see if you guys could put the lineup together for me. I mean, it's a good problem to have because you have options. It's teams playing well, so obviously there's going to be disappointment in whomever is not in that lineup because there's a bunch of guys who want to be out in that lineup and be starting. But we need everybody. We need everybody as we continue to go forward and move forward, because you never know who's going to take a knock, who's going to take an injury, who gets called into a national team, who's out of form, and you don't know what it is. So everybody's got to be on top of their game and working hard. But for sure, on any given game day, there's probably going to be 1 or 2 disappointed people or more so. And that's natural and that's to be expected. But I know they're all good professionals, and I know they want to see us succeed as a team. That's the most important thing. And as long as we all keep that in mind, I think we'll be fine.
As a coach, how do you kind of handle that when there's players who maybe think they're playing well and should be in there, and you have to make that decision?
You end up talking to players. You end up sometimes players don't want to be talked to. It's all an individual thing, but it's a matter of letting players know if they're playing well or not playing well, and letting them know what their situation is. All you can do is be honest with them, and they don't want anything else besides your honesty. They might not always agree with you, but I think they want to hear your honesty.
By the end of the year, would you hope to have a set in stone 11, or do you kind of prefer the fluidity?
Geez, I don't know. Like I say, I mean, when you make a decision on Monday, saying, okay, this is what I think it's going to look like on Saturday, and something happens on Wednesday or Thursday that changes that, and so then you're going back and saying, oh, by the way, I really didn't mean that. Let me change my mind now. So I've just learned that you sort of go with the flow, and you make the decisions at the appropriate moment.
When considering particularly the investment that was made in Clint and much of this talent that we're talking about, when those guys decided to kind of bring them in, how much time did y'all spend in here's how that would be Adrian and Chris? How much did y'all worry about how each of these pieces would fall together, or did they just give you this toolbox and say turn it into something?
No, I mean, I think anytime you can add a quality player, you add a quality player, and that was the opportunity that was there for us. Obviously Clint's came as I don't know if fortuitous is the right word, but it just happened to come along at that moment. So you're not gonna, what is the saying? Look a gift horse in the mouth, and so you're gonna accept that gift and use it. And so then you try and make it work. But I've always been a coach that has believed that you put together your team based upon the talents of the players that you have, and I've never been we're a 4-4, I'm a 4-4-2 coach, or I'm a 3-5-2 coach. I think when Chris played for me at UCLA, we were a 3-5-2 team because we had a couple of wingers. One was Kobe Jones and one was Chris Henderson, and it made a hell of a lot of sense to play a 3-5-2 and just fly at people. But then when we won our championship, then later in '97, we weren't. We were a 4-4-2 team because that was the talent and that was the quality of the people that we had, and we had a good midfield and had some guys with Sasha Victorine and Peter Vianas who could play in midfield, and we could flow the ball through there. So it all depends upon the players that you have and putting them into a spot on the field where they can best utilize their abilities.
I'm Kyle Beckerman.
I'm Landon Donovan.
I'm Dwayne De Rosario.
We love soccer. We train hard, we play hard, and we support with passion.
When it comes to discrimination, we don't cross the line.
No bullying, no racism, no sexism, no homophobia. No excuses, no exceptions.
Don't cross the line. If you're playing, training, supporting, or coaching, don't cross the line.